In the silence of a dimly lit room, 64 squares wait. They are not just wood and paint. They are a universe, a battlefield where blood is never spilled, but kingdoms are lost every second. We call it chess. But where did this obsession begin? Was it a gift from a god, a tool for a king, or a mathematical curse? Today on Ludopedia, we peel back the layers of time to find the soul of the greatest game ever devised. This is not just a game. This is the history of human intellect, visualized through the lens of mystery. Our journey starts 1,500 years ago. In the dust and gold of ancient India, legend tells of a grieving king, Belhib, who lost his son in a brutal war. To cure his depression, a wise Brahmin named Sissa ibn Dahir presented him with a wooden board. It was called Chaturanga, the four limbs of the army: elephants, chariots, cavalry, and infantry. Sissa told the king, "In this game, as in life, the king is nothing without his people." Belhib was mesmerized. He offered Sissa any reward. The wise man made a simple request: 1 grain of wheat for the first square, 2 for the second, 4 for the third, doubling until the 64th square. The king laughed at such a small prize, but by the middle of the board, the laughter died. To fulfill the 64th square, the king would need more wheat than has ever existed on Earth. It was the first lesson of chess. Never underestimate the power of an exponential move. As the Silk Road breathed, Chaturanga traveled west into the Sassanid Empire of Persia. Here, it became Shatrang. It was no longer just a war simulation, it was a test of nobility. It was in the courts of Persia that the phrase Shah Mat was first whispered. The king is ambushed. Over time, it evolved into Checkmate. The Persians didn't just play, they obsessed. They wrote the first manuals of strategy, the Manasik. They saw chess as a reflection of the cosmos, the board as the earth, the pieces as the stars. But when the Islamic Golden Age arrived, the game underwent a silent transformation. Figurative pieces were banned to avoid idolatry, turning the majestic elephants and warriors into the abstract, geometric shapes we recognize today. The game became a dance of shadows and logic. By the 10th century, chess reached the shores of Europe via Moorish Spain and the Vikings. But the medieval world was too slow for the game. A match could last days. In the late 15th century, the game went through a violent evolution. The vizier, a weak piece that could only move 1 square, was replaced by the queen. Inspired by powerful female monarchs like Isabella of Castile, the queen became the deadliest force on the board. Suddenly, chess was fast, it was aggressive, it was romantic. This was the era of Mad Queen chess. The game shifted from a slow siege to a lightning strike. It mirrored the changing world, where power was no longer just about brute force, but about reach and versatility. Mathematically, chess is deeper than the ocean. There are more possible iterations of a 40-move game than there are atoms in the observable universe. This is known as the Shannon Number, 10 to the power of 120. When you sit across the board, you're facing a labyrinth with no end. This infinite depth is what attracted the greatest minds and drove some to the brink of madness. Paul Morphy, Bobby Fischer, Garry Kasparov. To them, the pieces weren't wood. They were living extensions of their own willpower. They didn't just see the board, they saw the future. In 1997, the world changed. Deep Blue defeated Kasparov. The ghost in the machine had arrived. Today, AI like AlphaZero doesn't just play chess, it plays it with a terrifying alien creativity. It has taught us that after 1,500 years, We are still beginners, but even in a world of algorithms, the magic remains. Why? Because chess is the ultimate mirror. It shows you your fears, your greed, and your brilliance. It is the only war where the pieces go back into the box together at the end of the night. The 64 squares are waiting for you. Will you make the first move? Thank you for joining us in the first chapter of Ludopedia. In our next episode, we go from the royal courts to the dusty streets to uncover the primal survival instincts behind the game of hide and seek. Subscribe and stay curious, because every game has a soul.